Instagram user Sabrina Miller 230 has recently gotten the attention of many online ARG fans, including myself. Her Instagram bio reads, "I love people and getting to know them. That makes me happy. My posts on this social interaction platform are a way to archive my thoughts." In this video, we are going all the way back to Sabrina's first post in an attempt to decipher the story behind Sabrina's terrifying account. Thanks so much for stopping by, and if you enjoy content like this, please consider subscribing. Sabrina's first post was made on March 11th, 2021. It features her smiling, almost painfully, in front of a patch of woods. Another post from Sabrina, also made on March 11th, reads, "Great day. I helped my friend Barry a bit with his depression. He sent me some photos of him when he was younger, in his living room with his mom, cleaning. Some photos of him celebrating his birthday. I reminded him of the nostalgia and to remember good times await in the future. I've always been so scared to interact with people. Ever since Richard, I have felt so used by your kind, but I'm trying to adapt. The closest friend I had was John, but I can't find him after he moved away." From this post, we can gather a few details. Sabrina refers to humans as your kind, insinuating that she is not human, and perhaps never was. 3 characters are mentioned in this post: Barry, who is Sabrina's current friend; Richard, who did something to have a negative impact on Sabrina in the past; and John, who was a close friend to Sabrina, but is now no longer in the picture. 9 days later, Sabrina posted this photo. The caption says, "Hanging out with my friend Barry. We met on this social interaction platform. He said he finds my profile photograph to be interesting." April 2nd marks a change on Sabrina's profile. She is usually portrayed as silly, happy-go-lucky even, but this post is much more sinister. It shows Sabrina covered in blood. The caption reads, "Sometimes I have to remember to cry tears and not blood. For some reason, I always mix up the two. Sometimes it feels weird to release a liquid from my face. I usually have no emotions, but I have some sadness. My friend Barry has been feeling worse. I wish I could take his pain away." Here we can further affirm that Sabrina is not human. Her lack of emotion leads me to believe that she might be some sort of robot modeled after a human, but as we will soon find out, this is not the case. She obviously carries physical human characteristics: a nose, 2 eyes, 4 limbs, but something is off. On April 5th, Sabrina posts the following: "One fun fact about me. I can grow my hair to any length and shade I want. When I first arrived on this planet, I went with shoulder-length hair, then quickly went to long." Sabrina, referring to her arrival on this planet, insinuates that she is something extraterrestrial. We have now established that Sabrina can grow her hair however she likes, and that she has to remember to cry tears instead of blood. Both of these indications point to something that has been around humans for a while and is doing its best to mimic their behavior. 2 days later, Sabrina posts the following to her page: "Hi, sometimes I like to sit in the dark. I think about Richard a lot. I used to be so afraid of the dark. If it was not for him, I wouldn't have found this wonderful place. But there was a price. Silver lining, I guess. Plus, I learned how to use light in my eyes to see, and I guess you could call that dope." What an odd word. Sabrina refers to Richard once again. As established before, this is someone who hurt Sabrina in the past. She mentions how he was the reason that she came to our world. The way she speaks about him makes me think that Richard might have been a former lover. April 8th. When I arrived here, I was able to access images from various time periods, some in the past, some in the future. I couldn't control it then. I wanted to find something to embody. Then I saw a mannequin head that made me feel happy. A girl was patting it on the head, I think. I loved her face, so I embodied that. I fear you all would be too afraid to see what I truly am. Richard told me that he accepted me, but that turned out to be a lie. Sabrina reveals to us in this post that she is capable of changing her entire form, and that what we see, the Sabrina that we know, is not what she truly is. April 10th reads, "Sad. I wanted to live here on this planet as a friend, but your kind became too interested in the things that I could do and the magic I performed. It makes me sad because I originally was invited here for the purpose of friendship and in hopes to learn from each other, but I was the only one giving, never receiving. I'll be okay. Sometimes depression hits me for a little bit." In the photograph, Sabrina seems to wear a mask that we have never seen before. It is coated in blood, almost mimicking clown makeup. The mouth is painted with a slight frown, matching her sad demeanor. The next day, Sabrina makes the following post. "Better now. Despite being here for a little while, my emotions are very unstable, as I've never felt these emotions before on my planet. Being human is not easy. I've been here for about 70 years, give or take. I don't know how long it will take to get my emotions in check." In this post, Sabrina refers to 70 years as a little while. Her people, or species, whatever she is, seems to have a much longer lifespan than humans. At this point, it is very possible that she has outlived her human counterpart, Richard, along with many friends she has met throughout her lifetime. On April 14th, Sabrina posts, "My friend, Barry, has told me he has feelings for me. This makes me feel excited for the future. Maybe a different outcome this time around? As I have said before, John is someone who was a close friend, but never in a relationship way. But I still love him. I saved him, and in many ways, he saved me." The photo features a rather lackadaisical-looking Sabrina who has red smudges on her face. There is no apparent cause this time around, such as Sabrina crying blood again. As we've established, Barry is Sabrina's current closest friend. She has been helping him get through his depression. A few hours later, Sabrina says, "It is official. I have a date tomorrow. Now I must look pretty. On my planet, there is no need to look pretty. We are all an extension of each other, so it was never a necessity. That being said, I respect that your species is filled with ego, and I will abide by the rules." This post, aside from confirming that Sabrina has a date, also confirms that she is indeed extraterrestrial. During the following day, April 15th, we watch as Sabrina departs for her date with Barry. She is hopeful, remarking, "Did my makeup and on my way to his house. From 1954 to about 1955, I was in the care of my old friend Richard. So when I was finally able to live on my own, I didn't know what to do. I mostly just stayed at abandoned houses, not feeling much of anything, except falling in love with nature, the only pure thing left on this rock. Now that I am feeling what true love is, I cannot grasp the feeling. I want to cry, but I want to scream with joy. But I shouldn't do that, as my scream is known to sound like a threatened cat, which I've heard scares people." As I theorized earlier, Sabrina has in fact outlived her counterpart, Richard. She speaks about him with an attitude here, almost as if she is relieved to finally be moving on to another romantic partner. Things take a turn for the worst, however, as Sabrina's date with Barry does not go as she had hoped. When he saw me, he said he was scared of me. He said that I looked artificial. I did my best to look pretty, but I guess it wasn't good enough. I hoped he would have let me in, but the door remained locked. I stood there for 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 17 seconds before leaving. He loved me when I helped him through his problems. when I listened to him when nobody else would or could. I even tried to form a calming figure to help him through his nightmares. He ran away from me then, and he ran away from me now. I was being used by him just like I was Richard. Your kind are so cruel. I will take note of this. I never really interacted with humans besides Richard. I would live amongst everyone, keeping to myself. Now I wish I would have just stayed in the woods, where the animals and the plants never judge. I miss John. The following day, Sabrina's hurt persists. I had carved our names on this tree with my bare hands, and this is how I get treated? I helped you through your nightmares, and even tried to help you by giving you a protector. Yet you ran from it then, and you run from me now. Everything I do you hate. I just wanted to help you. Sometimes I want to go back home, and I can go back whenever I want, but maybe I'm selfish. I like the feeling of being independent. Back home, I was always stuck with everything else. I never mattered, but here I can be my own person. This post indicates that whatever planet Sabrina is from is potentially very strict in its laws or how it is run, almost like a planet where everyone is the same. Sabrina is attracted to freedom and the idea of individuality. April 19th would see a rather disturbing post from Sabrina. She writes, "Me and Barry talked today. He said he was sorry. Did I forgive him? Of course not. Forgiveness is not in my nature, only hunger. I could try to learn forgiveness, but my anger is too high to even begin to fathom that concept. Now I know I shouldn't be like this with everyone, and I won't. I do know a lot of you truly are caring, but I just have a hard time trusting people when people lie, or judge me because I don't fit a certain standard." Notice how Sabrina uses the strange phrase, "Forgiveness is not in my nature, only hunger." Posted with a hashtag beneath this description is #sweetflesh. Sabrina grins menacingly in the photo. Again, those red smudges decorate her face. Could this post imply that she did something to Barry out of retaliation for how he treated her? A post on April 22nd says, "Video call with a good friend of mine. We see that placed next to Sabrina is a photo of a doll-looking being, not too dissimilar to that of a troll's doll. There is an account linked below the description belonging to Instagram user Anita Tapio. The account seems to be a little more normal than Sabrina's, featuring this same doll character, but also has an overall vibe of an art account. This post stands out because it could indicate that Sabrina is not the only one of her species on Earth. The next post made by Sabrina shows off her newly painted nails. It would seem as though she is rebounding from her hurt caused by the interaction with Barry. May 1st would see the following. "I'm back. I took a little break to head back home for a little bit. My people missed me, as I did them, and I've learned that I should be trying to study your species a bit closer. At this point, it is uncertain what planet or galaxy Sabrina is originally from. Her modes of transportation are still a mystery as well. Her phrasing in this description almost sounds as if she is being employed by her people as a scout for a new world. She is tasked with studying our species more closely, perhaps in an attempt to learn our weaknesses and take over." 3 days later, we get this interesting photo from Sabrina. It shows a wrinkly face. The caption reads, "My molting has finished. The one downside to taking the form of something I'm not is having to shed." In a rather macabre but sort of comedic follow-up, Sabrina paints the shedded skin with makeup before wearing it on her face like a mask. The caption says, "I've learned that your species is a fan of art. Well, I decided to do some crafts with my molted skin. I call this art piece the pretty girl everyone loved and was friends with forever." On June 13th, Sabrina posted this photo of the exterior of a town. The caption tells us that she is meeting a new friend today. She is excited and hopeful. However, like most of Sabrina's interactions with people, it turns sour. In the follow-up post, she writes, "Sadly, one of my friends wasn't helping, so my two friends who are left over will be coming home with me to be studied. They were so excited, maybe in a bad way, but I tried to reassure them that they will be taken good care of. Ever since some parts of my family wanted to be independent like me, they want to learn how to blend with you all, and that will take studying." Given the previous photos being various shots around town, it almost makes me wonder if Sabrina is picking random people off the street to be her friends. Regardless, she appears to be taking two people against their will back to her home planet. June 19th's post furthers this assumption when Sabrina says that she is food shopping, but no one is out today. At this point, I think it's safe to assume that Sabrina is an alien of some sort, and her species feeds off of human meat. June 20th. Ever since arriving to this place, I can't get over how beautiful nature is. It makes me angry to see humans polluting, ruining this beautiful place for the sole purpose of laziness and greed. Really think about that. You were given this chance for life, and you destroy this beautiful place that gives you the very life force to defy it. Noted. Here we can see that Sabrina is developing a hatred of sorts for the human race. That is, if she hasn't already. This could mean certain doom for the human race and Earth as we know it. Nearly a month later, Sabrina gives us an update on the two humans she took to her planet. She assures us that they are doing well in their new home. 2 days later, Sabrina posts this eerie photo. The caption says, "Thirst quenched. Back at home, we consumed a sort of organic material to stay alive, and here on this planet, it appears there are many organic forms to choose from. Another reason some of my family wants to come here too." July 18th. Some time ago, I used to do charcoal sketches of various beings I came in contact with. I have a full book full of papers from different times. Before I found this place, I was amazed by the various entities that live in this universe. This was a sketch of two beings I came in contact with. The sketch looks like some kind of bird-like creature. Next to it is a smaller figure. The paper Sabrina used to draw on looks as if it is on the verge of deterioration. Who knows how old it actually is? Later that day, Sabrina posted this photo of one of Richard's first letters to her. She writes alongside it, "The first human contact I've made was a real sweet person at first. He made a mistake on the date due to his anxiety over his girlfriend who left him. His downfall. I like to trace over it with charcoal every day. It makes me feel like I'm closer to him again. He is dearly missed. But you know what they say, it had to be you." The note, written by Richard, dates back to 1954. It contains a list of items, the last one being some papers of my work we talked about. Richard's character will be very important moving forward. On July 23rd, Sabrina posted the following. "I like to blend in with mall mannequins. It is fitting, as I've taken the form of a soon-to-be mannequin head, but I've learned it worked in my favor, because I can just stand in shopping malls and observe how much the average customer spends on items they don't need, or because their children will not stop shrieking until they get what they want." Noted. This photograph, not too dissimilar to some of her other selfies, shows what appears to be the underside of her scalp. Perhaps it is almost time to molt again. July 27th. Almost there. Did you know that my species can enter your dreams? Sometimes they will be nice to you, and other times they will not. Don't be scared though. They can't actually hurt you in your dreams, but they sure do make them feel real. Sabrina has continually increased her posts regarding her species. It feels as though their arrival to Earth is imminent. Still, Sabrina continues to study us. A following post reads, "Hello everyone, I have some wonderful news. My family wants to visit. They promise to be quiet and blend in. Now that they have references of what you all look like, that should be easy. They promised me that they wouldn't be mean to you all, so please do not worry if you notice a being that seems slightly off. They are just nervous to see you. As for me, I am happy with how I look, and I don't want to change. On December 5th, Sabrina posts that her family has come to Earth. She posted this photo that sends shivers down my spine. She says, "I tried to have one of my family members take a photo of me turning into my true form, but sadly, this was the only thing it captured. Polaroids captured it better. Digital cameras get it all messed up. My face sort of changed, but not enough." Here, Sabrina appears to be hunched over in some weeds. Her face is distorted to the point of being uncanny. Sabrina's next post wouldn't be until July of the following year. The caption says, "I've missed you all so much. Many things have happened since we last talked. I was in a situation that needed my full attention, but I am back again." In the next post, it is revealed that Sabrina spent some time back on her home planet. She brought 2 more humans with her to be studied by her species. At the end of the lengthy post, she makes the following unsettling remark: "My new roommate, he doesn't know I'm living here yet, seems really cool. We'll update you all with info soon." This change in household reflects in Sabrina's posts, as she no longer takes selfies in front of the wood-paneled wall. After changing her hair to shoulder length, Sabrina molts once again. She laments in the description that no one should feel embarrassed about their appearance. July 29th takes yet another horrific turn. My roommate's landlord heard the sounds of a screaming cat, but it was just me. He got very agitated, so I removed his doorknob and will be paying him a visit tonight to show him how I make those sounds. Sabrina holds the doorknob in her hand and smiles at the camera. This photograph is not followed up directly with the outcome of the landlord, but I believe this photograph from August 8th could pertain to this situation. It is a picture of a television screen. The news is broadcasting about a wanted person. The sketch seems to match the warped appearance of Sabrina. The caption says, "Old news clip of me on the television set. Whoever sketched me like this did me dirty." While I do think that this could be in reference to Sabrina killing and even eating the landlord, her abduction of multiple people around town could have also led to this police investigation. The following nightmare-inducing photo was posted on August 16th. Sabrina says, "They aren't cold. None of them get cold. They inevitably become room temperature." A fact that I was horribly mistaken on. I always thought they became cold. Still, so much to learn. I'm not exactly sure what Sabrina is referencing here, but 2 days later she posted this: "I couldn't control my hunger last night. They didn't deserve what happened to them. Why do they have to taste so good? My species eats organic matter, and that typically was organisms that had no physical form, but this just tastes so much better. Being at home for the length of time I forgot how to control my emotions again, but I am trying." Sabrina appears to be standing in a wooded area once again. August 22nd. Fun fact, I have night vision. After Richard, I would have to sneak into homes at night, so I adapted to the darkness quickly. The following post continues Sabrina's macabre sense of humor. She says, "I broke into a hippie's house, and her friends gave me psychedelics, and now we are all best friends." September 5th. Through the power of electronic archives, I have found some of my old yearbook photos. I arrived on this planet in 1954, and after Richard used me, I began to learn for myself what humans are. And every decade, I'd go to high school to learn how the education system is. Sadly, it's terrible. Instead of teaching children important life tools, they just make them feel bad for not understanding complex equations that they will never use in real life anyway. I only smiled in the 90s photo because I truly loved that time. People seemed nicer and weren't mean to me for my appearance. While this post is a critique on the American school system, the fact that Sabrina attended school is quite surprising. Speaking on Richard and Sabrina's arrival in 1954, the next post sheds some light. Here is an old photo of me with a dear friend, Richard Williams. He was an aspiring doctor who came in contact with me in 1954. I only wanted to be his friend, but he used me. He said we were friends, but I was just an experiment to him. I never wanted to show this photo because it brings up emotions that are hard to control, but I'm trying to adapt. Maybe I'll show more photos. While not explicitly stated, it sounds like Sabrina had romantic feelings for Richard. These feelings, unknown to her at the time, are what drew her to Richard and allowed her to be taken advantage of by him. To what extent, however? Well, 2 days later, Sabrina posted this photo. Polaroids Richard took years ago. He told me I had no reason to be scared, yet he put me in scary situations. I didn't know how to react. The worst was the water. I was in awe at the way the water flowed so peacefully. It was as if it were alive. He pushed me in and set up his camera. I was so scared. I tried to take this form of the water to maybe not get succumbed by it. It was difficult. The cold was the least terrible. The darkness was one I've grown to love, but hated it when Richard was around. I tried to make myself into a light to see. It seems like Richard was studying Sabrina, putting her through various tests to see what she was capable of, something that was not understood or agreed upon by Sabrina. The next Polaroid posted was this harrowing image. Sabrina says, Richard had obsessions. He had an ex-girlfriend who didn't love him anymore. When I arrived and he learned that I could shapeshift, he demanded that I try to turn into her. I tried to help him, but I only had his description to go off of. No pictures at all. He was too caught up in her. He always yelled at me because I couldn't look the same. Despite how I was happy the way I looked, he never cared. On September 27th, Sabrina's posts of her kind coming to Earth finally come to fruition. Some of my family have arrived here. Couple things to note. If you see an animal, object, or person that looks slightly off, it may be one of them, so be nice and respectful. I know it may seem odd, but they are just here to experience the pleasures of being an independent human like you. There is only one that you have to worry about, and I advise you do not go near him if you see him. His name is Vanille Targus, and please, whatever you do, do not say his name many times out loud, and if you feel him in a dream, ignore him. Considering that I probably pronounced his name wrong, I probably have nothing to worry about. This post makes me wonder, now that some sort of aliens are here, what happened to the humans they were studying prior to their arrival? October 4th, the caption reads, I don't understand why he wanted me to change. I always felt beautiful the way I was. I believe this was a photograph of Richard's former lover, prior to him meeting Sabrina. The description at the bottom of the Polaroid is too difficult to read. Despite having family members of her home planet visiting Earth, Sabrina's sadness and existentialism seem to persist, as seen in the following post. I went walking today and noticed that despite being here for a little while, the cold air gives me a flash memory of what it felt like entering this world. It was like entering through a doorway made of a beautiful, all-knowing light. The contrast was fascinating because there was also a blackness in this light that felt never-ending, almost like a black tunnel that stretched to the ends of the universe. Halfway through the door, its shape went from a rectangle to a circle, with that familiar cold blackness and with that same familiar light around it. It felt like what your species would describe life and death to be like, and describe it only taking a second for me to step foot from my world to yours. It felt as if my body was shot through a cannon, moving millions of miles. It felt as though I was traveling around the universe. I felt a cold, cosmic wind go through my own being, which caused me a great deal of excitement. The autumn air reminds me of that feeling. This time of year is bittersweet for me. This is one of the first photos that we have seen so far that features Sabrina's body beneath her neck. She is in the woods once again. October 19th saw this photo of Sabrina. She talks about her experience of people thinking she is wearing a Halloween costume. Her eyes feel as though they are looking right through me. Remember that name we're not supposed to repeat? Well, I'm about to say it again. This scary photograph has a caption that reads, "It has come to my attention that my brother has been causing some problems for the human species. I was anonymously sent this photograph from someone who claims this was taken from their brother's phone who is now missing. I had mentioned this before and will again clearer. If you hear the name Vanille Targus in your dreams, do not embrace it. Please run from it, and do not say his name out loud. There is a chance he will answer your call, so please just ignore him. I'm so sorry for all of this." I think the most interesting aspect about this post, aside from the fact that we are getting to know Sabrina's family, is that she sounds protective of the human race, despite periodically feeding off of it. A little later, Sabrina updates us. "Apologies for taking a week off. I realized my brother had done a lot of damage here. I'm disappointed in him. I tried to tell him to be kind, but he is evil. No care for anything, just his own sick pleasures. I hate to do this, but I must remove him. I am no longer playing games. Wherever he is, I will find him, and I have help. I will update you all very soon." November 24th. After finding my brother and taking care of him, I can now relax with my friends and their cat, who happens to be a sibling of mine, Peanut. He helped me prepare dinner for today. It looks wonderful. Thank you, Peanut. Sabrina notes here that she is taking care of her brother. What this means, either death or exile back to their home planet, is up for debate. Let's just hope that Sabrina can maintain her friendship with the people in this photograph. Another holiday passes in the following photo. It is the holiday, a difficult time filled with a mix of nostalgia and sadness, a bittersweet feeling. Richard was my first human friend, but I accept that it wasn't meant to be. He made his choice, and I made mine. Sadly, despite the pain of our friendship decaying, I can't even celebrate now because I see the pain this world is in, especially in other countries. I wish you all could just love one another and live your lives, helping others love themselves for who they are and not helping them to fit your standards so you can love them. This world is rotting, and I hope those of you under the thumb of bigger people with smaller hearts stay strong. One day, you will be the lifeblood that makes this earth a beautiful place to live in. At this point, I am starting to grow confused as to what Sabrina's motives are. She has routinely hurt people throughout her time on Earth, but at the same time seems to have an affinity for humans. In the next post, for December 30th, some of my questions were answered. I apologize for being absent during my 500 follower celebration. I was being chased by some people who claim to be higher up. I hid in a mall. They never found me. They wanted to take me away for dealing with some billionaire who apparently has some level of importance on this planet, though I don't know what that is. He used forbidden knowledge to make more money with his wife and snot-nosed son. I was just making things right. The main reason I did it was because he used this technology to put more money in his fat pockets and more food in his fat belly, not to help others in need. While there are people out there digging in their pockets for enough change to buy a loaf of bread and juice for their kids during the holiday season, I have learned that in this world, I do not hate the common man, but hate the man who lacks the common knowledge and care for the very world their feet tread. I'm not perfect. I shouldn't have taken people to my planet to be tested on, but I'm growing. I'm learning from my mistakes. I am trying to be good to this world. Why can't they? Sabrina would take a small hiatus from her Instagram account at the beginning of 2023. She would return in February with this post. I am very sorry for taking a month off from this social interaction platform. A good friend of mine was taken from me. I've spent the past 30 days in one of my favorite nightclubs. All I feel right now is anger and sadness. I will make things right. To my dear friend John, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry I wasn't a good friend all of the time. If you don't recall, John was one of Sabrina's closest friends following her departure from Richard. For the longest time, she didn't know where he was. Unfortunately for her, he has now passed on. The cause of this is unknown. Following this post, Sabrina's troubles continue as she informs us that she has been banned from her home planet. On top of this, she admits that she is struggling with addiction, but is overall hopeful for the future. Sabrina would post this picture on June 9th. The caption says, "Oh, how shocking. Fun fact, his father treated me like someone else I used to know. People like that only care about using those to gain and fill their ever-growing stomachs." This post is in reference to Sabrina's December 30th post, where she admits to murdering a greedy billionaire before being hunted down and hiding in a local mall. Sabrina would post this later that day. With recent events involving this rich man, it kinda reminds me of Richard, wanting to use me for gain and what they can make me do. They don't think about how I feel, just like Richard. Is it weird that I miss him? I know he hurt me, but I could see a good person in him. I really could. But for some reason, despite the pain he put me through, some days I look at him as a friend still. After Richard, I didn't have many friends after that, and those who I did have as friends died. I was never born to learn emotions. For most of my life, I never had any emotions. I mostly assumed it would stay that way, and now I have a flood of emotions, and some days it's hard to accept them. I've gotten into bad habits again, like consumption of certain organic beings. Sorry about that. An anonymous person decided to make a digital copy of Richard's diary, to which I have linked on this account. To whoever you are, thank you, and I hope you message me one day. The journal referenced in this post, belonging to Richard, is something that we will discuss later on. Sabrina would post this billboard on June 14th. In the description, she refers to a man named John Sawyer who helped her in a time of need following her abuse at the hands of the billionaires. Sabrina says that she wishes to release information on this through documents found on John Sawyer's computer. Sabrina would later upload these to a blog post linked beneath her Instagram bio. The blog exposes the Schmidt family, the founders of a multi-billion-dollar technology company whose owner, Arthur Schmidt, fell into controversy after being accused of human and animal testing. Family member Barbara Schmidt, while not directly related to the technology side of the business, had her own line of birth control that utilized parasites to kill sperm cells. The product was endorsed by Dr. Charles Voorhees, who took part in the human and animal testing trials. The John Sawyer blog eventually mentions something referred to as the Infinity Box. This will become very important going forward. The blog reveals that Barbara utilized the Infinity Box to pull the parasites used in the birth control formula from another planet. The extraterrestrial nature of the parasites is confirmed by Sabrina, who had witnessed the parasites on her home planet. This Infinity Box was found in Richard's estate, which was purchased by the Schmidt family following his death. The Schmidt family would come into contact with Sabrina during this time as well. Her interactions with Arthur Schmidt led to her confession of using the Infinity Box as a means of transferring her family from her home planet to Earth. From here, we can gather that the Infinity Box is used as a mode of transportation, something faster, much more powerful than a spaceship. The Schmidt family wanted unlimited access to the Infinity Box for their own personal gain, and Sabrina took it to prevent any damage that it could cause. In Sabrina's next Instagram post, she confesses to killing the youngest son of the Schmidt family, Alex, by plucking out his eyes. In July of 2023, Sabrina traveled to Alaska to hunt down Dr. Charles Voorhees. Her goal was to ensure that he would never test on humans or animals again. She said, "Postcard from Alaska. Not what I expected. Every time I've looked at Alaska in films or cartoons, it looked covered in snow. When I arrived, it was filled with beautiful nature. It surprised me. Not that I didn't like it, but sometimes I hate when things don't go exactly how I anticipate them. But that's on me. I met Dr. Voorhees, and he won't be testing on any more innocent people again. Meeting him made me think about how I used to send people to my planet to be tested on. It makes me feel guilty. I promise not to do that anymore." Dr. Voorhees was not sorry, though. I asked him if he was being truthful when he said that he felt bad, and when he answered, he would fidget his hand on his pocket, just like Richard used to do when he promised not to do tests on me again. In the postcard photograph, Sabrina is covered in blood, insinuating that she has eaten Dr. Voorhees. 5 days later, Sabrina's hunting of the Schmidt family continues. Barbara has been hiding. I know the rich people have it easy in prison, so I decided not to tell them where she is. I got a job for a day at a food delivery service where she typically orders from. Today I got to deliver her salad. She's on a diet to keep her figure, but I couldn't resist adding a special ingredient. I hope she likes it. In the second photograph, we can see a vial containing one of the parasites that Barbara used in her birth control product. Despite her success in taking out the Schmidt family, Sabrina expresses sadness in her follow-up post. "Today is bittersweet. I may have succeeded in getting rid of a group of people who don't care about anyone but themselves, but I have a weird feeling deep in my chest where the heart is in humans, a feeling of guilt. I feel like a hunter. There's blood on my hands. When I first arrived here, I had a bad experience, and I took it out on innocent people. I feel ashamed of myself. I always look down on humans, but I'm most likely no better. I can't go back home, neither can my siblings, because we are told we changed too much and we made our family back home embarrassed. And that's fine for my siblings because the ones left here are harmless, but I am not harmless. I don't feel like I have a home anymore. I wish I had never come here. I miss when things were easy. I just had a painful longing for adventure, but all it's gotten me into is trouble. My emotions are too strong, and I thought getting rid of the Schmidt family would make it feel better. People will always be evil, and I'll just have to live with that. I don't know what to do anymore. Maybe I should jump into the Infinity Box and find a new place to live." September 22nd. It's been 1 week since I posted on this social interaction platform, yet it seems to be longer for you all. I've been inside of the Infinity Box, moving place to place. From my time with Richard, I learned a little bit about the box itself, and all I know is certain coordinates placed in the keypad will create a controlled black hole to transport the box to whichever coordinates are placed. I punched in different numbers and couldn't find much, mostly empty planets. I did find myself on a version of Earth like the one you all lived in, except it was abandoned, filled with corpses that walked around eating people. I left after a few of them tried to bite me. Another realm I ended up in was such a beautiful place, an endless field that lasted forever and ever. I walked around there for a while until I came across 2 doors. The door on the right had a man sitting up against it. I asked him for his name, to which he replied, Brian. Brian tells Sabrina that behind the door on the right is what he refers to as the nostalgia room. He created it for the purpose of reliving moments in his youth. He tells Sabrina of one particular memory where he received some sort of pyramid game. Brian remembers playing it and drowning out the arguments of his parents downstairs. This saddens Sabrina, but she finds that she can relate to Brian in a lot of ways. Sabrina then decides to travel through the door on the left to see what is behind it. Here's what she said about it. So I went through the left door a little while ago. There was a rectangular hole in the floor that birthed a videotape with my name on it. I'm in the process of recording what was on the tape. We'll update you soon. After watching the video, here's what Sabrina saw. I've watched this videotape 249 times now, mostly because it's something I needed to hear. To me, it seems like a motivational video, so that makes sense. When I first arrived on Earth, I wound up with a man who only cared about what he could do with me, how he could change me. For years, I've hated myself and the way I looked because of him. I didn't have the right body shape or hair color. I would stare into the mirror trying to look at myself until I felt acceptable, but it feels like I'm straining to do so. I used to love looking at myself. I felt so comfortable, but now it feels disturbing. I built up a hatred for this world and the people who lived on it. After me and Richard stopped talking, I got to finally experience what it was like to be a human, but it felt forced. I learned a bit when I went to school, but I forgot most of it after I left. I wasn't excited anymore. I just pretended to enjoy what I was doing, but I slowly built that hate for everything since the late 50s. I only found myself loving nature and the less civilized animals. I am too focused on the few good memories that I'm not living in my current life. I've decided today is the day to make that change. I don't want to be compared to horror characters from movies and books. I want to show that I can be a good person and not let the actions of those in my past dictate how I am in the future. Starting today, I will no longer be eating the forbidden foods I usually eat. The following day, Sabrina would begin her lifestyle transformation. I decided to start by burning off Richard's face from the photo. It was hard to do so. I cried a lot. Why do I care about him after what he's done to me? I still managed to smile a bit again. I had to force it, and my face doesn't like stretching like that when it's not organic, but I'm trying. My life is a mess. I have this feeling that won't go away. It feels like my inner thoughts have turned on me. It tells me I'm too far gone and not worth saving. It's telling me I'm not worth love or friendships. I've learned from a few of my followers that these are the classic signs of a thing called anxiety and depression. In the beginning, I thought it would be easy to push these thoughts to the side and forget about them, but lately the voice is getting louder and more real. I'm not doing much, just traveling from place to place and living in my own head, but trying to run away from my thoughts is a losing battle. It never gets tired or loses motivation to catch up with me. Thinking of the memories that were good to escape helped in the beginning. Now it's not enough. I don't have to sleep, but I'm doing it so that when I wake up, for those first 15 seconds of being in between sleep and wake, I'm without the thoughts. I feel like I'm innocent, and that I'm pure and without flaws. It's like for those first 15 seconds, I'm born again into a new life. In those first 15 seconds, I feel like there's a chance I can be loved. I can't live like this forever. It's too difficult. So I've decided that I'm going to make a change. I can't hurt others for the actions of my past abusers and the pain they inflicted on me. I'm better than that. I know I am. I have to be. My brother refused to change. I can't end up like him. I can't eat people anymore. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard to focus, but I've learned that not all humans are evil. They are deserving of love, and maybe someday I'll feel like I'm deserving of it too. I don't want to be the creepy account that people are scared of. I just want to be accepted. The following day, Sabrina posted this collage of Polaroid photos. If you recall, Sabrina had mentioned that she had converted Richard's journal into an online blog, and it is now available on her account. Given these photographs, let's briefly dive into that blog page to understand Richard better. This blog is very lengthy, so I'm going to summarize it to the best of my ability. Richard Williams, a character Sabrina has spoken about at great lengths, came into contact with Sabrina back in 1954. Richard was the scientist who invented the Infinity Box. Richard would use this to communicate with beings from different places, one of them being Sabrina. He describes Sabrina's planet as follows: I've learned of a planet in which this thing lives. From what I've gathered, it's mostly organic matter, and this thing talking to me is an extension of that very substance. Think of it as a microscopic cell inside of a larger being. Well, this cell wants to break free and become independent. Absolutely fascinating. I told it about the wonderful inventions of our time, like cars, medicine, and the telephone. It seems harmless, but extremely curious, asking me a lot of questions about what we are, what we look like. I need to give this more time before I can bring it here. Richard would use the Infinity Box to bring Sabrina to Earth on October 27, 1954. She would study Richard from the corner of his office. He would soon begin putting her through various tests to see what she was capable of. This involved pushing her into a lake, hitting her with various objects, burning her, and other things. Richard at the time had just gone through a breakup, and he would often ask Sabrina to shapeshift into the likeness of his ex-girlfriend, a task that Sabrina found demeaning. As a result of this testing, Sabrina would run away from Richard and begin hurting humans and breaking into their homes. Richard, remorseful for how he treated Sabrina, would welcome her back into his home. The final post on the blog states that Richard has decided to move away with Sabrina. He says farewell to his family. The writing and grammar in the post, however, does not exactly match the rest of the entries. I assume Sabrina had killed Richard and wrote a faux message to lower concerns about his disappearance. With the Infinity Box in her full possession, Sabrina has spent this month traveling around and meeting new friends. In this post, she writes, "I spent some time at Mike's Midnight Madness for the past few days. I'm still not perfectly trained on how to use the Infinity Box, but I know how to access this place and Earth. Everything else is guesswork. Though some of my guesswork has helped me when I found this meat room which birthed the motivational tape, so I guess it all worked out in the end. It has helped me a bit to be here while dealing with the urges to eat people. The people in this nightclub have been so supportive and accept me for who I am. I would be lying to you if I said that I'm better now, but I feel like progress is being made. Mike, the moon-headed man, gave me some important advice today. He said, if you consume the past and the good memories you had within it, you will be consumed by it yourself. The present is yours, so you can afford a prosperous future. I think Mike is a new friend. The other pictures attached to this post shows an intergalactic nightclub full of varying species from all over the galaxy. As of writing this video, this was the final post from Sabrina. While her story is still not over, we end on a satisfyingly happy note. Sabrina, while still dealing with her primal urges, has found a healthy balance in life, though some of her methods are a bit unorthodox. If you would like to follow Sabrina's Instagram account, I will leave it linked down in the description below. If you like content like this and you would like to see more of it, please make sure to subscribe to Something Sinister. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you all in the next video.